So, we seem to be more or less complete. I hope you have enjoyed lunch and would like to welcome you to this afternoon's robust design workshop. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Tobias Eifler. I'm working here as a postdoc in the robust design group, and I'm also co-chair of the conference. And as already mentioned this morning in the introduction speech, one of our main aims was to get to a more hands-on, dialogue-based approach to robust design to identify challenges and actual challenges in industry as well. And even if I will keep it short, the introduction, I will try to explain a little the aim behind the workshop and a little background information on the workshop first of all. The workshop is part of a series of workshops that were organized within the Robust Design 6. So the first workshop was more or less exactly hosted a year ago in August last year at the ICET conference. And so we are at the third workshop, and we hope there are many more to come. And when we see at the program after the oral presentation this morning, we're now coming to a workshop. And as the conference itself, the aim is to raise actual and future questions and to learning from each other's techniques and approaches in robust design. And like I said, now we're getting to some kind of more hands-on approach to all of that. Our aim is to give you an active role in the whole conference and to give you a task where you can apply your methods, your experiences, where you can just talk about an actual design, about a current issue that is currently a big question in industry or currently also in the media. So therewith, we are coming to the case that will be in the center of the workshop. You probably all heard about about GM launching one of the most infamous recalls in automotive industry in the beginning of this year. So after several accidents seen in the field that caused also death, they recalled over 2.6 million vehicles, and in all these design failures, design process failures, that led not only to the 13 deaf people, but also to the cost of the recall and a fine of $35 million. And in the end, also a broader investigation by the federal authorities in the US that had led to further recalls and stuff. What will be our starting point for the workshop today? So the starting point is that crash scene investigators identified or had seen in the cars that crashed that the key apparently was kicked out of the run position, back to the off position, and therewith to another power mode of the car, affecting also other systems like airbags or power steering that obviously have a quite severe or serious effect on security in this case. In the end, it's the ignition switch that you also see on all the posters of the conference this year that is defining the power modes of the vehicle in the end. So the failure could, in the end, be traced back to this ignition switch, which is part of the steering column. So you see the steering column here, the ignition switch connected to the ignition lock cylinder, and in the end to the key that had flipped out to out of the position. And the main purpose of the switch is defining the power modes of the car. So the position of the switch is transformed to some kind of signal that is sent to the body control module, and thereby defining the power supply for different systems in the whole vehicle. What the aim is now, we do have the component available on the market, and we chose a reverse engineering approach, took the component, measured the parts, without knowing, okay, what is the actual failure in the system. We are coming to a CAD model, the dimensions, the geometries. We do have a couple of specifications, and the question is, okay, what actually led to these serious accidents that we have seen? And in the end, that is now your task to work on the ignition switch, to identify failure modes, relevant influences. What do we want you to do? So you are, all of you, part of the forensic engineering team investigating the recall. The aim is to identify the basic failure modes, the problems that had occurred. Think of what can be a solution, and don't just think about how to prevent the solution in this design that is actually on the market, but is there a short-term fix for this problem? Or could we also think of other designs that are probably more robust in terms of these external or internal influences that had led to these accidents? And in the end, our aim is to have presentations, to have a broader discussion, and therefore we would like to ask you to prepare a presentation of 5 or 6 slides that we can discuss afterwards. Coming back to the beginning and coming back also to the introduction speak this morning, so we don't expect you to discuss about what could be suitable, what could be an approach to use. We really want you to work with the design. So we expect you to do the analysis and strive for answers and proof, and perhaps also solutions. Like I said, not just discuss suitable approaches and methods. That is the case. I'm coming now a little to the organization. We do have prepared a room downstairs on the ground floor where the workshop will take place. And already, as already said this morning, you do have a colored circle on your name tag. And that, in the end, is indicating your team number. In total, we do have 10 teams working on this case, of 5 to 6 people. And for every team, we do have prepared a table with additional information, with a workbook where you find the drawings, dimensions, specifications. You can download all that also on the website, Robust Design iSort Downloads. Everything is available there, as well as a CAD model that you can use with the e-drawing viewer. Just a summary of that. And like I said, you do have this prepared all at a table downstairs. And like I said before as well, afterwards we would like to discuss the results, your analysis, possible solutions that you got to, and that will happen up here in the foyer. So we do have 5 TVs where we can upload a presentation, the 5-slide presentation that I mentioned, and you discuss that in teams or in a team of 2 groups, just to keep the groups a little smaller to allow for reasonable discussion. Concluding to this introduction, a short timeline. So now we have, after 1 o'clock, we start with the group work. I would propose that we're going all together downstairs. We will be in the room. We will have additional information available. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask us. The room is just downstairs, the next room on the right-hand side, but I'll show the room. At 3 o'clock, we will have another break, coffee break, just in front of the room then. We'll continue with the group work, and the aim is to start with the presentation of the results at 4:15. In addition to this timeline, I would like to ask all the groups to be aware that we do need some time to upload the presentation that you're preparing. The presentations, if you're preparing the PowerPoint presentation, please send them to the info@robustdesign email address. Otherwise, you're provided with flip chart pads, pens, use whatever you find down there to prepare, to illustrate your findings, to illustrate where you came to. one additional point, which is kind of optional, please also take into account the methods and tools you use throughout the way. So if you can, just give us an overview what, out of your perspective, were suitable tools to approach the problem, to get to the forensic analysis, and include them in your presentation. So we would like you to go down to work. We hope for really interesting discussions, and we hope that you enjoy the workshop and the tools, and look forward for the results. Do you have questions? Otherwise, I would just do the leader and go downstairs to the room.